Hello everybody, welcome back to my gaming review. Today I want to make a video on the 7th generation of game consoles and why it is probably one of my favorite generations for gaming. There was just a lot of fantastic games that came out, fantastic controls, and the PS3, Xbox 360, and Nintendo Wii were all very great consoles, even though the 360 has the red ring of death, and the fat PlayStation 3 has the yellow light of death. But besides that stuff, besides some of the negatives with some of the consoles that came out, it was still a very fantastic generation to be alive, and there was so many fantastic games that came out. And you have the slim systems that Microsoft and Sony made, like the Slim and the Super Slim for the PS3, and Microsoft made the Xbox 360 Slim, and as well as I think the Xbox 360 Elite or E series. And of course, you have the Nintendo Wii, which everybody knows what a Wii is. You had the Mii Maker, plus you had Wii Sports, which was actually really fun. I think Wii Sports was probably my favorite Wii game because it had boxing, bowling, plus baseball. And Nintendo Wii obviously has a bunch of Nintendo games and backwards compatibility with old school GameCube games. But anyway, 7th generation game consoles were all amazing and awesome. They were all backwards compatible with some retro games from the previous system. Every single PlayStation 3 plays PS1 games. The fat original PS3, played PS2 and 1 games. And the Nintendo Wii had backwards compatibility with the Nintendo GameCube. So this generation had backwards compatibility with a bunch of classic games from the previous systems. And all of these consoles are all very unique and cool. So let's just start off with we'll just start with the PlayStation 3. So when the PS3 first came out with the original fat PlayStation 3, you obviously had backwards compatibility with PS2 and PS1 games. Even though it has the yellow light of death, the console was also I think it was like $500 when it originally came out, like $600. It was a very expensive system. But Sony eventually made the Slim and Super Slim, which were cheaper consoles, and they also took away the PS2 backwards compatibility. But you can still play all your PS1 games. The PlayStation 3 has a very huge library of just amazing, fantastic PlayStation 3 games. You have the probably some of the best Call of Duty games ever made, like Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare. Those original games. You had the original Zombies on PlayStation 3. On the PlayStation 3 system, you had the exclusive games like God of War, and then you had the Killzone Trilogy Collection, which I actually own that. It's a very good collection of the Killzone series. And the PlayStation 3 had the PS3 controller, the DualShock 3, which is basically just a PlayStation 2 controller, but they just put 3 at the end of it, but it's a wireless controller with a you can actually charge the controller, and it was wireless. So the PlayStation 3 controller was wireless, plus you can charge it. And it was just overall a very great system with a very great library of games, plus backwards compatibility, and an amazing controller. Now, if you look at the Xbox 360, I'm going to go to the 360 now as the next console in the 7th generation. The Xbox 360 had a whole bunch of exclusive games as well. It had the Halo games, which the Xbox 360 had the best Halo games. You had backwards compatibility with the original Xbox games, and the Xbox 360 controller was actually a pretty good controller that people still use on their gaming PCs nowadays, as well as other systems. The Xbox 360, when it first came out, had the red ring of death, but even though the 360 suffered from the red ring of death, and Microsoft was not doing good because of the red ring of death, they actually came back with a new system, the Xbox 360 Slim, and they actually fixed a lot of the issues with the red ring of death. On the Xbox 360, you had Gears of War, Halo, and all those fantastic games, plus backwards compatibility, plus obviously the 360 controller, which controllers in this generation are actually pretty cool, and all were very unique, even though they were all very different from each other. Now I'm going to go to the Nintendo Wii, which has its exclusive games, and of course, all of the Nintendo Wii games are exclusive to the system. So Nintendo Wii, when it came out, Nintendo Wii was actually the best-selling console in the 7th generation. The Nintendo Wii came out with Wii Sports, which is a pack-in game. You also had, of course, Mario Kart. I believe Smash Bros. was out for the Wii. And it also had backwards compatibility with GameCube games. And the Nintendo Wii had the Wii motion controller, so you had to actually stand up. You had all these special attachments. And you'd play tennis and boxing with the Wii remote, and you would actually do this with your hand, and it would actually do something in the game. The Wii was a very unique console, and was actually a very big success for Nintendo, and Nintendo Wii was actually the best-selling console in the 7th generation, which I honestly may buy a Nintendo Wii just so I could experience it and actually have one at least in my collection, because I have a whole bunch of consoles, and Nintendo Wii's are actually the cheapest when it comes to the 7th generation nowadays. Now, with that being said, the 7th generation, I'm just going to say, is probably one of the best generations in gaming, just because of the fantastic exclusive games. Obviously, when it came to online play, it became more of a big deal with the PS3, Nintendo Wii, and the Xbox 360, because you had the online stores where you could actually buy digital games for the Wii, PS3, and Xbox 360. This generation, you can obviously get digital games. This generation of consoles had some of the best exclusives, as well as you had the backwards compatibility with classic games, which made this generation even more worth it. And also, there was just a lot of, fun times I had with this generation of gaming. I remember back in the day when I had my Xbox 360, I used it for 6 years, and I would play online with people. I would play Black Ops 2, games like Halo. PlayStation 3, I obviously played Call of Duty as well. I played, I think the old Battlefield games, like Battlefield 4. And obviously on Nintendo Wii, I played Wii Sports, as well as some of the other Nintendo games, such as I did the Mii Mako channel. I actually like the Mii Mako channel. It was very unique for the Nintendo Wii. Right when you buy a Nintendo Wii, you can actually create a character of your own, and these characters are called Miis, which is a very interesting thing that Nintendo made. And there's a whole bunch of videos on how to create sort of Miis or stuff like that, which is a really cool and unique thing that Nintendo did with Nintendo Wii. But anyway, the 7th generation was just a fun time, and it was a fun time to be alive. The 7th generation of consoles really made online more of a big deal with online gaming. The 7th generation systems all had their own online gaming shops. You can get your digital games. The PlayStation 3 has a PlayStation Store where you can get any PS3 game digitally. Same with Nintendo Wii. The Nintendo Wii actually had the ability to play DS games on it, and you can actually buy a whole bunch of retro games on your Nintendo Wii. And obviously on the Xbox 360, there's a bunch of digital content you can buy for that system as well. Also in this generation, this is the generation that made hard drives more of a bigger deal than the previous generation. The PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 have hard drives, and you can actually add one. You can actually add 1 terabyte hard drives to systems to make them better when it comes to storage and expanding your game collection. The PS3 and 360 could also be used with an SSD drive, which is way better. The Nintendo Wii used SD cards, and Nintendo Wii had had memory built into the system, but the Wii didn't really use a hard drive or SSD. It only used SD cards plus the on-system memory. But this was the generation that made online gaming a big thing. This is the generation that really made hard drives and SSD a big deal as well. And this generation was very unique, and it was a very fun generation full of amazing exclusives plus backwards compatibility. And each console in this generation was just really fun. Each and every console in this generation you can have fun with, whether it's a Wii or a PS3 or Xbox 360. I would never buy a 360 ever again because of the Red Ring of Death, because that was a massive issue for the 360, and I had a lot of 360s have the Red Ring of Death. But anyway, with that stuff being said, the 7th generation was one of the best generations in gaming. I'm not going to say it's better than the 6th generation, because PlayStation 2 was a fantastic system. But anyway, with that stuff being said, I'm going to end the video, so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Tell me what you think is the best generation of gaming, what is the, the generation that you like the most. But in my opinion, the 7th generation of gaming was one of the best. Not better than the 6th generation, but the 7th generation is definitely better than the 8th and 9th generation that came after it. But anyway, with that stuff being said, peace out.